I mean, many people, when you read about the school shootings and so on, people will say this child acted out of the blue. He just snapped. Well, that isn't really what happens. If you look at those young lives, if you start even with prison, look at people who are currently in prison and trace their life trajectory backwards, you see that most of the people who are now in prison were also known at the high school level as kids who had some impulsive problems. They might have been gang involved, they might have been early kids who were identified with learning problems, they might have been kids who were alienated, bullied. You look back further in grade school, they were often kids who had diagnosed problems with learning, emotion. Many of them had families who were also abusive or neglectful. Back to the neighborhood, before the child ever went to school, often there was profound abuse or neglect, and typically neighbors knew. They simply didn't know what to do. And then if you look back to the very beginning, that cycle begins with babies born to families all across the world who are experiencing their first minutes with their babies, with mamas with bruises on her face or on her back, living quietly, submerged in angry or demeaning relationships, maybe parenting too soon. I mean, circumstances that we know, mental illness is another one. So it's a trajectory. And if you ask the kid, they'll say they did it because they were mad at someone, or they'd been being bullied, or they're full of hate. I mean, their reasoning is coming from their cognitive brain at the time, but the real answers come from much earlier, and the programming of the limbic or the emotional system that happens very early in development.